Call the meeting to order. Mrs. Burns, roll call.
Mr. Sullivan?
Present.
Mr. Parentano?
Here.
Mr. Allen?
Present.
Mrs. Bowman?
Here.
Mrs. Boyle, Mr. Feather, and Mr. Kovitz are all absent with prior notice. Mrs. Hallenbeck?
Present.
Mr. Marrington?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The board met in executive session this evening prior to this meeting to discuss topics related to litigation and matters related to school safety and security. The district mission statement in the Neshaminy community builds futures by empowering each child to become a productive citizen and a lifelong learner. Mrs. Burns, any announcements?
No announcements.
Mr. Meehan, Superintendent's Report, please.
Good evening. I'm Paul Meehan, Director of Administration, Assistant to the Superintendent. I'm sitting in for Superintendent Jones, who is attending a superintendent's conference this week. Our highlighted school this month was going to be Walter Miller and their Library Maker Space Pilot Program. But due to the weather event on Tuesday, Mr. Bedolis and the students of Walter Miller will be rescheduled. Our boardroom art gallery. For the month of February, the talents of Furtabar Elementary students will be displayed in the district's boardroom, presented by Dawn Luisis, art teacher. Students were given a challenge of Create, You Are an Artist. On the walls of the gallery are images of kiln fire castles with students first designed on Chromebooks, mixed media of animal paintings and prints, cut paper cityscapes, paper sculptures, and images of clay owls designed by using tools such as popsicle sticks and marker caps. Thank you, Mrs. Luis, and thank you, students of Furtabar, for displaying your talents. Enrollment report for February is available on board docs. PSBA perspective on the governor's budget. The Pennsylvania School Board Association, following the release of the 2019-2020 proposed state education appropriation, affirms in its appreciation to Governor Wolf, and again promoting an increase in investment in education by $200 million. The boost in basic education funding subsidy for 2019-20 fiscal year. The budget proposal also includes a $50 million increase for special education. The PSBA perspective can be found on board docs. We Build Future Awards. Superintendent Jones once again honored district staff who made significant contributions to fulfilling the district's mission statement and for advancing implementation of the new Neshaminy strategic plan. The honorees for January were Jessica Gibling, reading specialist at Carl Sandburg, Kim Katona, secretary at Neshaminy High School, Cheryl Kornicki, special education department, Neshaminy High School, Trish Murray, secretary at Neshaminy High School, Hank Oppenheimer, science teacher at Neshaminy High School, and then Donna Tull, IT building tech here at Maple Point. Summer Stock 2019 registration is now open. Once again, Neshaminy Summer Stock will be offering a professional level theater program for students grades 2 through 12. Information and registration materials can be found on the district website. Ronald McDonald House, Show Your Stripes Day. The students and staff at Maple Point Middle School yesterday wore their red and white gear to support Philadelphia Ronald McDonald House. Thank you, Ms. Schmidt and Ms. Foley, for organizing such a great event. Business Grant Award. The Business, Computer, and Information Technology Department received a grant from Bucksmont chapter of the PA Society for Tax and Accounting Professionals to purchase test vouchers for our current BCIT Course 2 students for the Microsoft Excel Specialist exam coming in May of 2019. Project Fit America helped Maple Point Middle School win a $25,000 grant from Project Fit America and the Danning Yogurt Company. The voting began February 2nd and ends February 28th. The grant will include state-of-the-art outdoor fitness equipment, indoor fitness equipment, curriculum lesson plans and supplies, along with staff training. You can vote by going on Maple Point's homepage and clicking the link. Senior Tax Assistance Program is a program that provides property relief tax for our senior citizen homeowners who have reached the age of 65. The program will provide tax rebates up to $650 for our senior citizens whose household income is less than $25,000. The rebate application forms are available on the Neshaminy School District website, at your tax collector's office, or by calling the business office directly. Our winter sports teams are ending their regular seasons, and some highlights from this winter's teams. The girls' basketball team are the SLO champions, with senior Allison Harvey and Brooke Mullen each eclipsing the 1,000-point scoring mark for their careers. The girls' team has qualified for the District 1 playoffs, which begin next week. Wrestling, Suburban 1 League runners-up, seniors Jackson Erb and Colton Jordan each eclipsed the 100-win mark for their careers in wrestling. District 1 wrestling championships begin next week. Indoor track, the number 1 ranked 200 and 400-meter runner, Savon Hebron, is scheduled to compete at States next week. Logan Williamson is currently the number 2 ranked triple jumper in the state, and he will also be competing at the state event. Bowling, swimming, and cheerleading are still in their seasons at this point. This concludes Superintendent Jones's monthly report.
I'd like to thank you for filling in, Mr. Meehan, and dilly-dilly. Okay. That brings us to the public comment section. Mrs. Burns?
No signups.
Okay. Mr. Rodas isn't here, that's why. That's fine. Okay. So we have 2 action items tonight. Mrs. Hollenbach, can you do 2.01?
Whereas in accordance with Act 1 of 2006, the Board of School Directors has received a proposed preliminary budget for the 2018-2019 fiscal year. And whereas the proposed preliminary budget was made available for public inspection on Form PDE-2028 effective January 23, 2019. And whereas in order to further comply with Act 1, the preliminary budget must be adopted by the Board of School Directors on or before February 20th, 2019. And whereas Act 1 further provides for referendum exceptions which must be submitted to and approved by the Pennsylvania Department of Education on or before March 7th, 2019. Now therefore be it resolved that the Neshaminy Board of School Directors hereby adopts the 2019-2020, shouldn't it say proposed preliminary budget in accordance with Act 1 of 206, and it shall be made available for public inspection as required by law. Shouldn't it say proposed? No? No, that was in January. This is the preliminary. Okay. Be it further resolved that the school district shall apply to the Pennsylvania Department of Education for all available exceptions specified under Act 1.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Mr. Tarente, this is a roll call vote?
Yes, this is a roll call vote.
Okay.
Call for comments, questions.
Comments, questions, observations?
I was wondering if you could offer a short synopsis of the budgeting amount and
Right now, we're at a shortfall of approximately $8.6 million. So we have our work cut out for us over the next couple of months. But administration and the board will be working very diligently on that number. Any other questions or comments? So we're ready for the vote.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowman?
Yes.
Mrs. Hallenbeck?
Yes.
Mr. Marrington?
Yes.
Mr. Parentano?
yes,
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
6 yes, 0 no.
Thank you. That brings us to our other action item tonight, 2.02, Personnel Support Appointment. Resolved that the Neshaminy Board of School Directors hereby approve the following appointments of support staff: Judith Bogart and Joshua Steer. Can I get a second? Second by Mrs. Hollenbeck. Comments or questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. I could have did them both. I gave you one. Yeah. Items for approval at the public meeting. 3.01, addendum to the 2019-2020 school calendar resolution. 3.02, the BCIU number 22, 2019 program and services and instructional materials and research services budget. 3.03, acceptance of the 2017-18 audit report. 3.04, settlement agreements. 3.05, acceptance of donation. 3.06, budget transfers. 3.07, home instruction. 3.08, out-of-district placements. 3.10, Sunday facility usage. 3.09 is overnight trips. It's squeezed in there.
We just pull out the acceptance of donations just to ignore.
It's not, this is just it's not getting approved the next time.
It's notification.
It's notification.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay. Brings us to committee reports. Mrs. Hollenbeck, Business Operations.
Our next meeting is April 2nd here. It will be all about the budget, so anybody that wants to hear about the nitty-gritty of what we're working on and what the proposals are, I suggest you come out to that meeting. As Mr. Sullivan did say, we still have a lot to do to get the budget where we need it to be, so that will be an important meeting. So I suggest everybody come on out. Everybody's welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Educational Development, Ms. Boyle's not here. Does anyone else want to take that?
I'll take it.
Oh, I was going to say, since there's
Curriculum and Instruction Department members led the discussion about improvements to the Curriculum and Instruction Department's infrastructure, curriculum and material renewals and improvement process, professional development plan, and platform include an additional release time for teachers, data integrity plan, instructional technology plan. Finally, we received an overview of both continuing and new program initiatives that are underway this year. Of particular interest, the entire board, strike that, in board docs, board members and the public can see the presentation from the meeting and a more detailed information about the topics that were discussed at the meeting. The next meeting is scheduled for March 2019 to discuss summer programs. All are welcome.
Thank you. Facilities and planning, I guess we met approximately 2 weeks ago. We met at Pearl Buck. A couple of the items we talked about were new security vestibules here at Maple Point, new security at the high school, update on the demographic study, which we should be getting more information on within the next month. And I think they were the major items we covered, yes. Okay. Mr. Meehan, can you give a policy update on the policy meeting?
Next meeting will be next Tuesday evening, 6:30 here in the boardroom. We'll continue with Policy Series 800 operations, introduction of Policy Series 300 employees.
Okay. Well, at the table, the IU and the Neshaminy Education Fund, because Ms. Boyle and Mr. Feather aren't here. PSBA liaison, Mr. Puritano.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. As Mr. Meehan highlighted during his superintendent's report, the budget, initial budget from Governor Wolf has been published. We highly appreciate the fact that they're trying to raise more money for educational programs. One of the more controversial proposals is the minimum salary for starting teachers. Neshaminy is right about where that proposal would start at anyway, so it would not have an effect on us. But once again, lacking from the state budget is any type of reform on the pension program or any type of subsidies that would help school districts afford the increasing in the PSERS contribution. As many people are probably aware, districts all throughout the state are suffering from the drastic increase in pension costs. In the last 9 years, we've seen approximately a 400% increase in our pension obligation when we've had salary movement of less than 10% over that same time period. So that's the main driver that's affecting districts and us from trying to reach balanced budgets, and will continue to be an issue for the long-term future until there's some real reform in the system. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Puritano. Mr. Allen, Tech School.
Good evening, all. Bucks County Technical High School Joint Board met January 28th at 7 p.m. A couple things. Prior to the joint board meeting, we had an executive session where we discussed legal and contractual issues. During the board meeting, students from Skills USA and the Key Club were honored for their efforts collecting money for the Salvation Army, apparently under rather adverse conditions, but they stuck it out. A credit to themselves and to the community. Very proud of them. Among the items the board took action on was approved the 5-week program SOAR. The SOAR program is funded primarily by tuition, donations, and fundraising. Doesn't cost the tech school anything. We approved the 2020 senior prom, which will be held at the Marion in Cinnaminson, New Jersey in May of 2020. Surprised we had to go that far out to get this thing done. Also, 2020 senior class trip, spring of 2020, will be to Walt Disney World. Of great interest was the audit report was accepted, was submitted by the firm of Major and Mastro, and was found clean, no findings in it. We're all quite pleased with that. A couple other items of interest I thought I'd throw out here. Car show is back. That will be April 27th, 10 till 2. Of course, proceeds for that all go towards student scholarships. All this, more information can be found on the Bucks County Technical High School website. Drama Department, How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying, in March 21st, 22nd, 23rd. The Cinderella and Prince Charming shop, gently used dresses and tuxes, or will be open. Still time. It's been open for a couple of days prior to this, couple months prior, but a couple Saturdays coming up still. February 16th, March, and 23rd, and April. I think that's 13th, but again, you can find that on the website. New Alumni Association. If you go to the Bucks County Technical High School website, you can find that link. Trying to get a big push to get all the alumni of the tech school together. They get together in small parts, just trying to get it all in one spot. And lastly, I'll mention the fine woodworking classroom has undergone major renovation. Work was primarily done by the students of the workshop, with some help from wiring from the electrical students and carpentry students. Again, if you go to their Facebook page, you can see some very nice pictures of that. The next meeting will be February 25th, 7 p.m. at the boardroom at the tech school. Concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. That brings us to the second public comment period. Going once? Okay. Anyone have any future topics? Board comment.
I just wanted to update everybody regarding the school resource officer issue. We're looking to place a school resource officer in Lower Southampton schools. We met with the Board of Supervisors this past Wednesday. It was very successful. Talks will continue. Mr. Parentano and Ms. Hollenbach were with me, and it was very productive. I wanted to thank the students that spoke in support of the school resource officer and the Tawanka, Furtabar, and Pequessing PTO support during that meeting. Thank you for coming out. And I wanted to thank the Lower Southampton Board of Supervisors for hosting us and listening to our proposed plan for school resource officer in those 3 schools. Also wanted to commend the drama department for the musical of Jekyll and Hyde. I attended. It was outstanding performance, and I am continually blown away by the talents of our staff and our students. It was an amazing performance, and I wanted to congratulate them on their production of Jekyll and Hyde. Also wanted to wish the Neshaminy swim team. They are competing this weekend at SLOs, so I wish everybody good swims. Thanks. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. Mr. Allen? Mr. Marican?
Yes, I'd just like to announce with sadness the death of Russ Horrocks, who was a longtime track and field and cross-country coach here at Neshaminy. I've known Russ for over 20 years. He always a very positive influence on the athletes, the young people, not just at Neshaminy, but throughout Lower Bucks County. I understand there will be a memorial service for Russ locally. I guess for those who don't know, he was living out near Lancaster when he died. But there will be a local service for him coming this spring. And if we get more information, I'll certainly let people know. Hopefully there will be some of us, I know I'll be there to attend. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. John?
I'd just like to make a few comments following up Mr. Pirtano's comments on the budget. I think it's wonderful that Governor Wolf has taken an interest in public education, and I know he's thrown some money towards special education. But again, they don't address what's been, as I've mentioned many times, the millstone around our neck, is they just don't seem to catch on that PSERS is one of the first things we think about when we sit down to craft the budget. It's PSERS and mandatory programs. And it's all well and good to talk about, our priorities education, but they don't come back and look at their budget and say, how are we going to help these districts fund this? Now, in Neshaminy, we're in better shape than many districts across the state, but we still struggle with that. Last thing any of us like to do is to sit there and start redlining through programs. But you already saw our shortfall. And we have to close that gap somehow. And our continued obligation to PSERS is certainly not helping. Another thought I said is there's still no equity in fund sharing. It's all well and good to talk about throwing more money our way, but for a fact, Neshaminy, very small percentage. I think, how much of our budget? Maybe 18% or something. It's very low. That actually gets supplemented by our state. And I think we do a pretty fantastic job with what we get. But I'm just frustrated with this. It's been going on. Many of us, quite frankly, campaigned because we saw this problem, and we got on this board to try and do our best with the money we had. And frankly, we're not getting a lot of help and support from Harrisburg, and it's frustrating. And it's a Friday night, and I'll end it there. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Anyone else?
Friday night. I'm just getting out of here.
All right. Before he starts, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.